Hi, this is Sue Willoughby from Midlife Strategies for Badass Women. With Adam's laser focused guidance, I've been able to successfully rebrand my show and 10x my downloads. My favorite part about working with Adam is that he gives you exactly what you need when you need it. If you're ready for success, I highly recommend that you join Adam's Podcasting Business School today.
What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School. It's the show where I teach podcasters simple strategies to help you make more money, get more clients, and build a profitable online business. Today, we're talking about my quest to find the simplest possible business funnel. Now, I know this is a goal for a lot of you. You may not realize it yet, but I can almost guarantee that if you're a content entrepreneur like myself, you're building an online business, I can almost guarantee you're feeling a little bit of overwhelm, recently especially, with all the things, the funnels, the offers, the web stuff, the podcast stuff, creating content, editing content. I feel like simplicity is what a lot of us actually are craving. Like, we've done all the things, we're burning out trying all the stuff. And that's why I'm on this quest to like, okay, what is the simplest way to make money? What is the absolute simplest way? And when I bring people on for interviews this year, that's going to be a major part of the interview. I'm going to be like, hey, if you had to strip away everything into the simplest possible strategy, the simplest possible business funnel, what would that look like for you? All right. So you can look forward to that on the few interviews that I do. So if you have a goal, before we dive in, if you have a goal of going down this simplification rabbit hole, if you need a little help with simplifying your content strategy, your offer strategy, your business strategy, hit the link in the show notes, hop on my podcast Profit Potential Discovery call. We can chat about how we can help you out with that. All right. Now, what we're going to do here today is we're going to dive in. I'm going to describe the components of what I think we need to have in place to build a very simple online business funnel. And I'm going to go through each one and say, okay, here's how podcasters are screwing this up, and here's what I want you to do instead. All right, so I think this is going to be a good one. Again, if you're somebody that really craves that simplicity like me. All right, so the 4 things that we need, before I dive into each one, I want to paint the big picture. For a absolutely simplest possible business funnel, first thing we need is we have to have at least one organic discovery platform. People have to be able to find us. All right, that's a must. The second step is we have to create content that establishes expert positioning and that attracts your ideal client avatar. Number 3, we have to have a simple, singular call to action within your content to direct to the next logical step. And then the last step is make a sale or do a discovery call and then make a sale. All right, so let's dive into each component here. Talk about how we tend to mess this up as content entrepreneurs, as podcasters, as content creators, and how to fix that, most importantly. All right, so the first step, we must have at least one organic discovery platform. And I really use that term organic discovery on purpose, all right? Because I feel like a lot of us are like, okay, nobody is finding my stuff. My audience isn't building. Why is that? And then we tend to, like, some of us even just skip this step and go, okay, let's work on our funnels and let's work on our offers and let's work on all this sales strategy. But if you don't have an audience to put in front of that sales strategy, it's not going to work. And we're preaching to an audience of 17 people on our email list and 12 people that listen to our podcast. It's not going to work. All right. So this is the most important step. We have to make sure we can check this box of, are people able to organically discover us and plug into our ecosystem? All right. I'll repeat that. Can people find your content and get plugged into your ecosystem organically? AKA without you having to run a podcast or without you having to run an ad for them to do so. So the big podcaster problem here is that 95% of podcasters are not leveraging SEO at all. All right. You think you are, But you got the Mr. Cutie Pants show that we don't know what it's about or who it's for. There's no SEO. You guys have heard me preach about this. If you want to hear me really get preachy about this, go back and listen to episode 608. I do my SEO manifesto of the year. So if you are in that 95% that are not leveraging the SEO, that's the episode I'd recommend. But by not leveraging SEO, your podcast is not an organic discovery platform. People aren't organically able to search in the Apple or Spotify search bar for a word like solopreneurship or social media marketing or weight loss or fitness or whatever and find your show because you are not leveraging keywords. All right. That's the huge podcaster problem. How do we fix that? We start leveraging SEO. We start leveraging those keywords and we get some organic discovery going. Now, ideally, if you really want to grow your business faster, we need more than one organic discovery platform. We need more than one platform. Obviously, we want our podcast to be one of them. But I feel like if you can snag a social media platform where people are organically picking up on your content, finding you, and diving into your ecosystem, huge advantage. Let me paint the picture of where most of you are at. Nobody's finding your podcast organically because you're not using SEO and keywords. And you're beating your head against the wall on freaking Instagram and TikTok and whatever. And it's so slow growth. That social media factor isn't in there either. You aren't doing either. And this is why most podcasters quit. 87% of podcasters quit before they get to episode 10. Fact. Why? Because a lot of this stuff, if we aren't building an audience, we're not seeing the ROI. It's not worth it, right? So with me, my two organic discovery platforms, obviously one is this podcast. I leverage keywords. The word podcasting is the first word in the name of my show. It leverages SEO. I've got business as the second word, two large search terms and really ideal search terms for people like yourself that are finding my show by searching business tips or podcasting tips on Spotify or Apple or wherever. All right. So this podcast organically brings people like yourself into my ecosystem and you're plugging in. Huge advantage. I didn't have to run an ad. I do run ads, but I don't have to. I didn't have to go on a podcast. I do go on other people's podcasts, but I don't have to. All right. The organic discovery is happening. The other platform for me is Threads. Like, I'm not going to spend any time on any other social media platforms because that organic discovery is not happening for me. I haven't cracked the code on LinkedIn. I haven't cracked the code on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, X, TikTok, YouTube. All of those channels for me are a complete waste of time because that organic discovery, people aren't just finding me and scooping up my content and hitting the follow button and diving in and going down the rabbit hole. Now, not saying that Threads is the only platform where this happens. A lot of you are seeing that on LinkedIn. You are seeing that on TikTok or YouTube. I just want to make sure you have one platform where this is happening. And you have to go through all the places you're putting in your effort, especially on social media, and going, is organic growth happening here or not? Like, I know every time I post on Threads, it's a real high likelihood that somebody new is going to see that post and follow me. And I post 3, 5, 8, 10, 12 times a day. So I'm getting, 10, 15, sometimes hundreds of followers per day. All right. It happened organically. I put out content, people organically find it, they follow me. That's the recipe we're looking for on social media, especially. All right. So those are the two organic discovery platforms for me. We got to make sure we have one. And maybe your podcast isn't there yet, but you're really getting that organic growth on Instagram. Great. Let's latch on to that. You got one. You have to have one. Again, I'm going to hammer this one home. You have to have one organic discovery platform or none of this is going to work. So one of my favorite books is The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. I've been really hammering my group coaching clients over the head with all the one thing things. But if you don't have an organic discovery platform, that's your one thing. That's the one thing you need to focus on until you figure out that equation. You can't dial in your offers. You can't optimize your discovery calls. You can't build a funnel. You can't build your newsletter. You can't do all these other things until you figure this out first. All right. Now, I mentioned my newsletter. Why did I not list my newsletter as an organic discovery platform? Now, some people Their newsletter is a part of that organic discovery equation. For me, it's not. People aren't organically discovering my newsletter by me posting newsletters. Some of you refer to other people. That would be organic, I guess. But like, people aren't searching my website and finding my newsletter via web SEO because, as I stated in a previous episode, I have not mastered web SEO, and I just don't put a lot of effort in that area. But my newsletter is a huge part of my discovery and new audience building strategy, but it's not organic. Like, I run ads in other newsletters to promote my newsletter. I promote the newsletter on this podcast. I promote my newsletter. I'm on someone else's podcast. I do newsletter swaps, but people aren't just organically finding my newsletter. I don't have a blog that turns into my newsletter. I'm not, I experimented with Substack for a while, and a lot of you are using Substack for your newsletter. That would be a way to have your newsletter be a part of your organic discovery platform. But I'm a one platform kind of guy right now. And right now that's Threads. So Substack got put on the back burner. Okay. So I just want to explain, obviously I talk about my newsletter a lot, and I want to explain why I don't consider that to be a part of the organic discovery part of my strategy. So just a quick explanation there. All right. So that is the first step. We must have at least one organic discovery platform to build the simplest possible online business funnel. All right. Second step, we have to create content that establishes expert positioning and that attracts your ideal client avatar. Here's how podcasters screw this up. We do way too many interview episodes, or all interview episodes. I'll keep preaching this until all you guys just give in. All right. I have so many of you still coming up to me going, Adam, I'm not turning my content into clients. I just don't get it. First thing I look at is how many interviews you're doing. Most people are still mostly interviews. And it's kind of an industry problem because a lot of our favorite shows are interview shows, but they're by freaking celebrities and comedians. If you aren't a celebrity or comedian, you have to stop using the strategies of celebrities and comedians. If you're not famous, you have to quit using the strategies of famous people. They're not going to work for average Joe, Adam type of people. All right. So too many interviews. Again, the line is this: if you only or mainly do interview episodes, your audience will see you as the person that interviews experts and not see you as the expert. If they do not see you as the expert, why in the world would they ever buy something from you? All right. They're going to buy from your guests that you're putting on that expert pedestal. So the way that we fix this problem is my 2/3 content rule. I want 2/3 at least of your content to feature you as the expert. Those are solo episodes, and those are coaching episodes. You see this with my show. All right. I go a little bit a lot more than 2/3. I think I only did 5 interview episodes in all of 2025. I'll probably do 5 to 10 this year. Got some cool people that I'm going to be bringing on the show, by the way, so I'm excited about that. But the 2/3 content rule has served me and many of you really well. Once you kind of come to the dark side and buy in, like, all right, I give in, Adam. I'm finally making this switch. The light bulb has gone off. I ain't making any money doing all these interviews. I got to figure something else out. You guys come over to the dark side, and we start doing 2/3 content, solo, and coaching. Now, there's another podcaster problem within this step. Again, we're talking about creating content that establishes expert positioning. All right. The second podcaster problem, the second way we're screwing this up, is we have this mindset where you're telling yourself that you don't feel like you're an expert. And I said we need to correct that statement. We need to add one little thing. It's okay to feel like you're not an expert, but you have to add yet. I'm not an expert yet. So a lot of people don't do coaching episodes. A lot of people don't do solo episodes because they feel like you feel like you're not an expert yet. All right. And that's a limiting belief that I would like to kind of eliminate for you right now. Here's the solution. You need to create solo episodes and even coaching episodes where you bring your audience along for the ride towards you becoming an expert. So many great podcasts have done this. Even look at somebody, I'll put John Lee Dumas out there. He didn't do this with his content, but he did it. He brought his audience along with his monetization journey. Like back when I first started podcasting in 2015, everybody's like, oh my God, there's this guy named John just John. There's a guy named John that posts his monthly revenue from his podcast on his website. And it was like mind blowing. Everybody's like, I can't believe it. I can't believe how much money he's making. But he had been doing this where like, oh, this month I made $8,000, this $900 or whatever. And it was just this like amazing, mind blowing thing. And he brought us along the journey, and it pulled so many people into his world. That open transparency of like, my first month was $300, and then it went. My first $1,000 month was this year in 2014 or whatever. So, bringing your audience along for the ride is the solution if you are feeling like you aren't an expert yet. And you can still do coaching episodes, because all you have to look at is go, okay, I am, so far down the path of my own journey. I can coach somebody or mentor somebody that's 2 steps behind me or 3 steps behind me on my show. So maybe you are, on like a let's see, social media. Let's say you are in the social media niche, and you want to eventually become like this Instagram growth expert person, but you've got 400 people following you. We can't go out there and get super like experty about, how I get 10,000 Instagram followers if you got 400. But you could coach somebody about how to find your first 100 Instagram followers, how you did it. And then maybe they're just getting started. And you go, hey, here's how we get to 100 real fast. You've done that. All right. You're like 4 steps ahead of that. You got 400. All right. So I want you to eliminate this limiting belief. Now, we don't fake it till we make it. Like I said, if you don't have 100,000 Instagram followers, you can't, I wouldn't be dishing out strategies on how to get there, because you're not there yet. I couldn't start using that terminology, how, XYZ strategy that got me past 1 million downloads, until I did that. All right. I crossed that threshold in 2025. And I mean, it's one of the things I'm most proud of by far. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done for sure. But I wasn't talking about hitting 1 million downloads or how to do XYZ to get you over 1 million downloads until I got 1 million downloads. All right. So that's important as well. So what's my strategy look like for this component as far as creating expert positioning with my content? So for me, it's obviously solo and coaching episodes with my podcast. You guys are witness to that each and every single week. With my social media, I do 3 daily tip posts and one what I call super threads post, like a long form post on threads every single day. And a lot of times I'm posting double that. It'll be like 8-10 times per day. But again, I'm only on one platform. I don't post content anywhere else at all. All right. So that's, instead of going, I'm going to post twice on Instagram and twice on LinkedIn and, twice on Threads and twice on YouTube and twice on Pinterest, I just dump it all into this platform I'm getting that organic discovery. And every time I post, I get more people following me. There's just a direct result. It's awesome. So I put all my eggs in that basket, and I'm going hard with it. So that's with my social media platform, 3 daily tip posts, 1 long form super thread. And then with I develop expert positioning with my newsletter once a week with a big deep dive on my Thursday newsletter. So when people organically discover me, even though, like I said, they aren't organically discovering my newsletter, it's still, they drip into that part of my ecosystem. If you're following me on social media, on Threads, if you are listening to this podcast, many of you hop on over to my newsletter to get that next big weekly deep dive that's different than all the other content. Like, it's not the same as my podcast content each week. That's a big part of the draw. That's a big part of the strategy. I want you to be able and want to consume both. So expert positioning within the podcast episodes, on my social media platform, and in my newsletter. That's what I am doing. All right. The third step in this simplest possible business funnel is we got to have a single call to action within your content to direct to a next logical step. All right. Usually this is a discovery call or an offer. You can see with this episode, what was my CTA? You heard it in the beginning. Pop quiz, pod pals. What was my CTA for this episode that I said at the beginning? Answer, discovery call. All right. And just, if you need to, go back to the beginning and listen to that. Let's not, it wasn't a big song and dance thing. It wasn't a canned intro. it was just like, hey, if you're struggling with XYZ, hop on my discovery call. Boom, done. I just did my CTA. It is that simple. We overthink these CTAs. Now, the bigger problem is that you all are call to action puking on all your audience. And a lot of my content, or a lot of my clients, I should say, they come to me and they go, Adam, I'm doing this single CTA. What's up? It's not working. And I listen to their show. And yeah, when they're recording like I am now, they have a single CTA. But then they do a canned intro and a canned outro that have 45 CTAs in those. That's ruining it. All right. So if you have like, welcome to the show, da-da-da, da-da-da, and have a little jingle and all that crap, and then you've got like, and follow me on Pinterest, and also on MySpace, and also I have 5 offers, and also, and then do it again in the outro, that doesn't follow my strategy. All right. We want to give our listeners one thing to do. It's really simple, but it's oh so hard because we want to say all the things, right? And every once in a while I'll break my rule a little bit, and that's okay. But we just can't consistently give them all the stuff. And that's what most of you are doing. All right. So simple. What's your single CTA? And again, you kind of look at that one thing strategy of, if I only tell them to do one thing, what is the one thing I could tell them to do that would be most impactful for them, for me, for my business? That's why for me, it's a lot of times discovery call. I'm like, hey, you hear me on the show all the time talking about the problems that I solve, the people who I can help. If you are the type of person that I help and you need help, hop on my discovery call and let's talk about how we can work together. I got a lot of different options. Not a lot, but I got a few different options. And sometimes people are like, I'm not sure which one to start with. So bam, let's talk about it. You'll be talking to me, not a VA, not Chatbot 5000, not some person named Claude. I don't even know who the hell Claude is, but everybody's talking about Claude. And so none of that. You're going to hop on the old Zoomer with me, and we're going to figure it out. Simple. Do that. One thing. All right. 4th component of the simplest possible business funnel is we either make a sale or we do a discovery call and then make a sale. So within that call to action, the previous step number 3, that call to action a lot of times is for a discovery call, or it could be for an offer. It could be for like a free workshop or something that you're doing too as well. But the majority should be a discovery call or an offer. I get this question a lot from you guys. How do I know which one to do? I've got a new rule. I've said this before, but I've never made it an official rule. And I'm going to call it my $500 rule. Simple. Sounds like fun, right? So my $500 rule, it's with your call to action. I should probably add that the $500 CTA rule. I'm going to edit that. The $500 CTA call to action rule. If you are selling something that is less than $500, I feel like it's okay to do a direct call to action sales pitch within your content. So you're on your podcast, you've got a boot camp that's $397. It's less than $500. I feel like it's okay to directly sell that from your podcast, from your newsletter, from your social media posts. And that's just something that I've experienced over the last now 11 years of content entrepreneurship, working with other content entrepreneurs. Now, some of you can direct sell because you've got a much larger audience than I do, or than the average podcaster does, and you can sell whatever. And it's just percentages. A certain percentage of people will buy that. All right. Or you've got really dialed in like nurturing funnels and all these other, next level business strategies that I tend not to use because I'm very, very simple. Online business minimalist over here. So those are kind of outliers. But in general, my $500 CTA rule, newly named, is that if you're selling something less than $500, you can do a direct sales pitch from your content. If it's over $500, like maybe you got a $2,000 group coaching package or a $1,000 consultation or online course or course plus coaching program or whatever, over $500, then I would do a call to action, do a discovery call. I've had a lot of success with this where we sit down and talk about it for that higher price point. And it kind of makes sense, right? A lot of people, a lot of us, we binge listen to podcasts and then it's like, okay, I think I could use this person's help. I see that their program is $3,000 personally, as a podcast content consumer, I would love to be able to just get a little bit of FaceTime, 15 minutes, and get a few questions answered to make sure if I'm gonna make that kind of an investment, I just want to get a few questions answered to help me feel better about it. And then let's go. Let's get started. All right. I know some people are like totally anti-discovery call and you don't have time for it and all that. And I get that, but I'm just putting out there what has worked really well for me. So that is the $500 CTA rule. Less than $500. Let's go ahead and put it out there with our content. Over $500. Let's focus on doing a discovery call and then making the sale from there. All right. Quick review. And then I've got something new for you. Stay tuned. Spoiler alert. Something new coming in the next 45 seconds here. Quick review of what we talked about, the 4 steps. Number 1, we must have at least one organic discovery platform. If you don't have that, that is your one thing. That is your homework. Figure out if you do or do not. And then if you do not, we got to build one. Easiest way for me, go back and listen to episode 608. Dial in that SEO for your freaking podcast. Let's go. That's step number 1. Step number 2, create content that establishes expert positioning that attracts your ideal client avatar. Step number 3, have a single call to action within your content to direct to a next logical step. And then step number 4, make a sale or do a discovery call and then make a sale. I hope that this one has helped you with your simplification strategy, your mindset. Now, you're about to hear my podcast outro. And what you're going to hear, I want to explain it before you hear it. All right. I know a lot of you are like, okay, I'm going to get the questions like, why did he do this? What's his strategy behind this? So you're going to hear one of you all, I put a call to action out in my newsletter last week. And I was like, hey, I would love for some of you to handle my podcast outro for the next few weeks. And here's what I want you to do. I want you, you'll hear this person say their name, the name of their show, and they're going to recommend an episode of my show that really helped them out. So it's a listener recommendation outro. All right. So the next few weeks we'll have some of these, but again, this is a listener that's recommending an episode. So instead of doing a traditional song and dance outro, you're going to hear one of your fellow listeners recommend an episode. Maybe that's one that you want to listen to next. Obviously, the strategy for this is that it encourages listeners like yourself to go, oh, well, here's an episode that Adam's not promoting it. Somebody else is promoting it that's actually listened to it and enjoyed it. Maybe that's the next one, and it encourages binge listening. All right, so that's the strategy here. Now, if you would like to record one of these for me, I'm going to break my own rule that I just talked about having too many CTAs. Oh my God, I'm a rule breaker already. But I'll put the link. I need you to record it on my SpeakPipe link. And I have a little template, and it needs to be 60 seconds or less. So I got some rules. All right. But as you'll see, it's a way that you can shout out your show and my show. Would love to have a few more of you do that. So I will add that to the episode notes here. It'll have the link to record it and the quick instructions. First come, first serve. And you got to make sure you have good audio, or I'm not using it. I had somebody send me one. It sounded like they were going in their car with their windows down on their iPhone 8 or something like that. That one will not be aired. So sit in your podcast layer and record that on your podcast mic for me, and we'll be all good. So Pod Pals, I appreciate you. I'm having a lot of fun with the show right now. Really enjoying the interaction I'm getting and the feedback from you all. I like the path that we're going down together for this online business minimalist, the simplification mindset for this year. I'm going to keep cranking out content that helps serve you all. So with that, I'm going to send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. I will see you on the next episode.
Hi, this is Dwight Spencer from For the Love of Creatives podcast. One of my favorite episodes of Podcasting Business School is 585 because Adam walks through all the details of running any coaching business in a way anyone can confidently follow.